Godzilla. Godzilla. Godzilla.
Japan. A country known for precision, honor, and tradition. For centuries, the Japanese have mastered the art of perfection, whether it's in a tea ceremony or in crafting the sharpest samurai sword. It's a culture built on respect, discipline, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. But in the 1940s, everything changed when 2 nuclear bombs left the nation in ruins. You'd think this would break a country's spirit, but not Japan. Instead, they rose from the ashes like a phoenix with a fierce determination to rebuild. And what did they do next? They created a monster, one that the world would later call Godzilla. Not the one from the movies, though. We're talking about the Nissan GT-R. This is no ordinary car. This is Godzilla. Born from Japan's obsession with monsters, speed, precision, and perfection, the Nissan R32 GT-R wasn't just a game changer. It was a car that crushed the competition so hard, it changed the rules of racing forever. But what made this beast so unstoppable? How did a car, created in 1988, go on to dominate racetracks around the world and earn the nickname Godzilla? It all began in 1988, a year that would change Nissan's fate forever. The R32 GT-R was unlike anything that had come before it. Designed to dominate, this car wasn't just built for the road, it was built for the racetrack. The mastermind behind it all? Naganori Ito, Nissan's chief engineer, who had one goal in mind: to create a machine that could take down the king of supercars at the time, the Porsche 959. But this wasn't just a copycat job. No, the R32 was pure innovation. It was powered by a beastly RB26D ETT engine, a 2.6-liter twin-turbocharged inline-six monster that packed an understated punch. It was fitted with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 6 individual throttle bodies to allow more air and more fuel in, which meant more power. The engine block was made from cast iron while the internals were forged in fire, which made it a dream for tuners and aftermarket modifications. Officially, the car was rated at 276 horsepower due to a gentleman's agreement between Japanese car makers to keep their cars below that limit. But here's the thing: trying to tame a wild beast is never a good idea. Sooner or later, those primal instincts kick in, and when they do, it's not just snapping at you, it's ripping you to shreds. That's what they thought they could do to the R32, but it was capable of so much more. In reality, the engine could easily push out over 320 horsepower, and with a few tweaks, up to 500 horsepower in race trim. It wasn't just a car, it was a bat out of hell. The R32 came loaded with cutting-edge tech. It had a massive intercooler, larger brakes, and aluminum front guards and hood to save weight. Its wheel arches were flared to give it that aggressive, ready-for-battle stance. It was raw, it was real, and it was ready to tear up the track. And speaking of tracks, this car wasn't just fast, it was record-breaking. It was so blisteringly quick around corners that Nissan had to install special wheels just to keep the rear tires from flying off. And the magic behind its razor-sharp handling? A cutting-edge system called High-Capacity Actively Controlled Steering, or HICAS. This wasn't your ordinary rear-wheel steering setup. At lower speeds, the rear wheels would turn in the opposite direction of the front wheels, making tight maneuvers a breeze. But crank up the speed, and the rear wheels would switch tactics, turning in the same direction as the front. The result? The R32 felt like it was glued to the road, carving through corners with unmatched precision and giving its rivals nightmares. So when Nissan took the R32 to the infamous Nürburgring, aka the Green Hell, arguably the toughest racetrack in the world, it wasn't there to play around. The production car lap record at the time was held by Porsche, a blistering 8 minutes and 45 seconds. But then, the R32 stepped up. Nissan's test driver Hiroyoshi Kato demolished the record with a jaw-dropping time of 8 minutes and 20 seconds. That's when the world knew this car was the real deal. And it wasn't just about setting records. The R32 GT-R was a race-winning machine that decimated the competition. In Japan's premier racing series, the Japanese Touring Car Championship, JTCC, the R32 was unstoppable. From 1989 to 1993, it won 29 races out of 29 starts. That's right, it never lost. Not once. Every time it hit the track, it crossed the finish line first. And it didn't stop there. It took home the series title every single year during its reign of terror. But Godzilla wasn't content to stay in Japan. In 1990, it made its way to Australia and entered the Australian Touring Car Championship, ready to go head-to-head with Ford and their mighty Sierra Cosworths. The Aussies had no idea what was coming. At the legendary Bathurst 1000 in 1991, the R32 made its mark. Not only did it win, but it dominated. So much so that it ended Ford's reign over the competition.
Winners outright of the 2E's 1000 for 1991, Jim Richards and Mark Skate.
This moment will live forever in the history of Australian motorsport.
And in 1992, it did it again. The Australian press, stunned by the GT-R's monstrous performance, gave it a nickname, Godzilla, the monster from Japan. Godzilla's dominance was so complete, it led to the collapse of the very racing categories it competed in. Group A, touring car racing, gone. The Japanese Touring Car Championship, restructured. Everywhere the R32 went, it wasn't just winning, it was changing the game. And just like that, the legend was born. It would go on to dominate until the late 1990s. So here we are, decades after the GT-R first roared to life, and it's still a force of nature, leaving chaos and awe in its wake. Born from the ashes of a post-war Japan, it rose not just as a car, but as a savior for Nissan, a beast that struck terror into the hearts of supercar titans worldwide. Its growl echoed across continents, and its legend was etched in tire marks on tracks and streets alike. This isn't just a car, it's a monument to defiance, a rolling symbol of what happens when ambition meets engineering brilliance. A reminder that the underdog can rise from the ashes, take on giants, and win. Godzilla may have been unleashed in Japan, but its reign spans the globe, a mechanical apex predator that refused to be tamed. As long as there's asphalt to conquer, the GT-R will be there, loud, proud, unapologetic, and ready to remind everyone why it's the king of the road. Godzilla doesn't quit, and neither does its story.